Hey folks, welcome back. This is Lucid, and we are jumping back into the tournament finals. It's turn 31, and let us see what it holds. If I can type the caster password right. So, we have a battle in Pythium. And this is me. So this is actually, that's a little bug with, normally, when somebody first sieges a capital, the next turn, if I don't micro it, my little dude will attack them if he was infiltrating. But we got score graphs back out, so anyway, we can look at those this turn. And let's start with Pythium. So here is the battle. Wait. Here's the army sitting outside of Pythium. There's a bunch of big, scary Morvark Knights. He's got them in two lines, so that if there's a hole that ends up... These are on attack rear. So they're going to, because they stretch the battlefield, and you can tell he knows exactly how many stretch the battlefield, right? So he's put the exact right number to stretch the battlefield, and they are going to attack rear and murder whatever in the back. And then if a hole gets punched through the front, he's got these on a sparse line formation. And the reason for that is wherever the hole gets punched, these will kind of jump in, ideally, right? And so you don't have your guys getting surrounded. And then he's got some idiots in the back with stingers and stuff to deal with thugs. I don't know what these guys are for. Yeah, some guys on guard commander. I don't really see anything too terribly interesting here. The problem, if you're Pythium, the only way I think to deal with this is have all your mages in a PD dump. And to anticipate it coming, which is a tall order to do against Sea Elves. And he struck very quickly. So, anyway, that's what we're dealing with. Over here, we just have somebody scouting. But you can see, like, Olm put in all this hard work, lost a ton of shit, and now guess who's going to eat literally all of it? It is the Predators, yes. And Pythium's popped now, so we're going to see a battle on the inside. Now, the interesting thing about this is potentially the battle inside the fort could go a lot better for Pythium. I don't know how many troops he has inside. So if he doesn't have, like, this army ideally was inside this fort. He needs to clog up that gateway while he soul slays stuff. And it'll be interesting to see if Yiss has anything in particular for dealing with kind of the fort wall and gate situation, which I'm not sure. Fort coming up here on the throne. Storms this fort. I think too, you know, it's almost like playing friendly dominions, like dominions with people you like or like nice to you. It can develop some bad habits. Because, like, if he trusts Yiss and he's like attacking ctis, like that makes sense. Like, oh, I can extend. But if you have zero trust for Yiss or for the player, like, why would you ever overextend? Like when you know they have stuff over here, you know? So anyway, nothing left to defend. You can just see Pythium does not have anything really left to defend over here. And he might have if he didn't commit on ctis. And now Ulm, this army has nothing to say to this army. Right? Nothing. Now it's possible that Ulm can deal with Yissi and Cheese. But really they're going to... well, you know, their protection may be high enough, actually, come to think of it, that the Firebrand portion, like the Flaming Breath part of the Morvark Knights, may not do much. But they're not going to hit them terribly easily. Not terribly easily at all. Yeah, I'm not actually sure the best way to pop through these guys. It may be... I mean, they do kind of succumb to crossbow fire, but they're not dense enough for it to really, really work. I'm not sure. I think Ulm could survive for a limited amount of time with really strong infantry, but I'm not sure what he would do. Like, how he would actually kill them. Because his guys aren't really going to... So he's got Guardians here, which is at least, I guess, a better unit versus... we'll take a look at the Guardians. So the Guardians, they have the Black Halberd, which, yeah, okay, so it's going to do AoE 1 fatigue damage. So actually, these guys might actually be able to deal with these, because they should fatigue out the Morvarks. Some of these things, though, they sound like they're counters, like AoE1 fatigue, it should be good, but then it doesn't end up working. But it could be if you get Legions of Steel on these guys, that might be enough of a protection buff that they can survive enough rounds to whale them down. I'm not sure. I wouldn't put a ton of faith in it. So yeah. Now all might have negotiated with Yes to get this, which yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's possible. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say what Ulm should do or shouldn't do, but this is a shitty situation for them. They lost most of the stuff. They're giving stuff to the number one player, and I don't think they're in a position to really challenge him. Like, what do you do? You know, if this is like, hey, you can have this, and then we can keep our nap, I guess that's the best you can get, even though it's really shitty. So anyway, that's happening. Let's go see what's happening over in the Elf and the Monkey War. So we have Vanarus raiding successfully. He's still sitting on top of this fort. It is now popped, so presumably he's going to be going in. Over here, I don't even know what Vanarus was thinking with these corpse constructs. Now they do have charged body, so they do kind of zap them a little bit, but it didn't really. Did he lose any? He lost one. I'm not exactly sure what that was about. Meanwhile, clears out a fair amount of PD here. So we'll look at the script. This looks like a mouse body setup. I think he had a gym too to do enlarge and stuff. Yeah, this is like a full fluffing script, so pretty nice. This, the vignette, however, I have no idea. We're not going to try to say that, guys. Yeah, they wrecked him. But she stumbles off the field with some wounds. And yeah, and then these guys obviously give zero shit about Monkey PD. So that's happening. And over here, big group of dudes from End takes a little tasty bite of Bandar log. So people just going in vulture mode. What's interesting, and I don't know how this is going to work, how End is going to feel. I mean, I guess they're both pretty overextended. Like, End's power base is back here, and then End is, like, down here. And, yeah. I'm not quite sure. I guess they'll just accept this as the border. But this is one of the reasons that Vanarus, I think, was trying really hard to get a bunch of this stuff to just kind of lay claim to it. So that... so that End wouldn't get to it. And like, he's kind of got this one cordoned off. He's got a scout laying this under siege. Bandar log not looking in a good way right now, which is interesting because they had pretty cool expansion. I was kind of expecting to see cool stuff, but there's not. You know, it's kind of like they have their blast. Let's see what they're doing here with the Yaksha. Maybe they had some spells they were casting. See, these guys aren't even really scripted. This guy, you want to do like Legions of Steel, Strength of Giants or something? I don't know. We'll see. I want to see some cool plays out of Mandarlog. I feel like they're coming. He had like a pretty well thought out bless. So I feel like we're going to see them. Now what's interesting here is we can see that Ernest, the Keeper of the Bridge, he has reloaded. And what I mean by that is, oh, and Jesus, look at this site. That was a good province. What I mean by that is he's now in a province with a lab. And what I expect is one of these groups is probably going to get picked off. Now, Ernest will wreck elephants. Ernest gives zero shits about elephants. Oh, wait, no, that's End. He's not going to attack that. Bandarlog is under siege. I'm not actually sure where Ernest goes. Ernest might chill out. Or take this, is my guess. But anything that sticks their head outside of a fort is going to be vulnerable to Ernest jumping on top of them. Which really limits what you can do, especially if you have no mages. Because Ernest doesn't give a shit about these sacreds. So anyway, that's what's happening in this part of the world. Ulm, yeah, nothing really happening. We have Vanheim going deep inside a fort. And here we've got middle-aged ctis, who sort of skeletons. Does not do foul vapors, though. Okay. Loses a couple Einhairs, because these guys are not poison immune. Probably do the slingers on the wall. So there's that. And yeah, Vanheim has made a nice little killing for himself out of ctis. And meanwhile, ctis is sitting here with not too much left. But ctis has struck out. They have attacked Yis. I doubt that Yis will let this stand. My guess is that Yis is going to eat Pythium, come down here and finish off ctis, unless somebody else gets done first. And it's possible Vanheim will get there first, but we'll see. I don't know. Actually, I think that makes a big difference. What's the bless on these guys? These guys probably can finish off ctis. Because it's going to be a couple more turns on Pythium. It's going to be a couple... Yeah, they've got poison resistance. So it's going to be a couple more turns on Pythium, especially... Well, he could do this and be a couple turns down. He would have to move, like, right now. But the thing, and this is always the thing, is don't assume goodwill on the part of Yis. Like, just because... Like, if Yis sees you vulnerable and you're not scripted to fight, 60 Morvarks or whatever this is... 70 Morvarks, he can just knock you off the cap, and now you're definitely not going to be able to contest if all of your, your whole army's dead. So anyway, it'll be interesting. We'll have to see what happens. But there's potentially other spoils to be had of Pythium. We've got this fort, we've got this fort, we've got this. So there's a pretty good chance that Yis sticks around to siege some of this stuff, but also pretty likely this army right here, which just siege chaff, probably going to come knock down this fort. So it's possible, I don't know, it depends, but it's possible this army gets freed up to go attack ctis. We'll have to see. We won't speculate too much more. So we've watched this war. Nabaa, they are out of the game, and nothing is really happening on this front. We don't see a ton of troop movement either with Jotunheim, but Jotunheim is going to be... Jotunheim's in a weird position, right? Because Jotunheim does not have much it can do. Against any of its... Like, it can't help with Yis, which is the big threat in the game. It can attack End. If it attacks End, I think the game's basically over. Because then Yis vultures End. And then there's nobody big enough to fight Yis on any front, really. Except maybe Ulm. If Yis goes after End, it, I think, would compel Ulm into war. Yeah. So anyway, it's... They could go after End. They could also go after Ulm. Going after Ulm doesn't really help Yis out that much. And they could also be, like, hey, we'll raid you from the coastline. Which they honestly could do. These aren't very high-income provinces, though. This one is a little bit. And all Yis has to do is put some water elemental spammers and then, like, little scrawny thugs underwater. Probably are not going to do so well. So, yeah. He's basically got to pick. He's probably, even with getting Nabaa, he probably still needs to make plays. So the question is, what play could he make? One play he could make is bully his way this way and try to have some of this territory. This would have him set up in case Yis comes and vultures north. But the other thing is you have to consider that as a land nation, you're usually not terribly excited about opening up more coastal raiding. Let somebody else have all the coastline. Probably practically what his next move is going to be is getting this throne. And then he's going to have to make a decision, basically. Does he attack Ulm or End? Or come in here and try to secure this? Or, like, a very weird play would be coming in and going after Vanarus. And the nice thing about going after Vanarus would be there's almost no border with Yis right now. Vanarus very much doesn't border Yis. But very much could after, well, like if ctis falls to Yis. Or if bandar log falls to Yis. And obviously if he eats all of bandar log, he'll have some coastal property, which he'll have to worry about from the Sea Elves. So anyway, that's all happening. I don't think there's too much else to cover for this turn, so we'll kind of scoot forward. Turn 32 is next. Okay, we have a magic phase attack, which is, okay, it was what I thought. Keepers of the Bridge going on top of the elephants. Yeah, he gives 0 fucks about elephants. So rip. I mean, these are like, this is expensive, losing these. You know, maybe, I don't know how many died in retreat. We've got score graphs too. We'll look at score graphs this turn. So, let's see what happens. So we have a battle in yes, we have Pythium riding out. This is with, oh my god, I don't even want to watch. I don't want to watch. Don't make me watch. Oh, the birds, they actually may be like a slight saving grace. They provide a buffer so the Morvarks can't get to them. But not enough. Not enough. Not enough. I wonder, because he had guys, he had dudes over here. Like, why didn't these guys come and guard commander over here? And he still has some dudes inside the fort. Well, I don't know. I guess we'll never know. These guys would have really, you know, it could be there was some cheeky play where, like, Seeking Arrow or something, I don't know. Like, why are all these guys on the inside? Why weren't these guys on guard commander? I wonder if he went AI. You know, Pythium at times was doing things very well, but then things like this really make me question. Like, I guess these guys could have been... No. He was under siege. He couldn't have recruited him this turn. Like, would it have saved him? Would he have won this battle? No. But having 70 dudes on guard commander, when Yisk came charging in, that would have made a big difference. It would have made a pretty big difference. How many Morvarks did he lose? 5? He might have killed like 20 Morvarks. He wouldn't have won. He wouldn't have won. But it would have made a big difference. We can also see Yisk spamming out Black Hawks for that siege strength. They're pretty good at sieging. 0.5. Which okay. Considering how many you get. And we can see they also jumped on the enemy back lines, which was kind of okay. Some Atavi archers, some more archers. Yeah. But just, what a waste. What a waste. Yeah, completely falling over. And I think that's it. There's really not much left of Pythium. I think the only question that remains is, where does this Yisk army go? Does it come... Probably the safe bet is to come take these. The aggressive plays come down and take ctis. And we can see he's looking to do some kind of aggressive things. He's got these barbs over here. Ctis riding out, though. I like this. Comes and kills a lot of PD. He's got all these Marshmasters here. This is a pretty big PD dump, and gives 0 fucks. Just goes and wrecks the PD. Very nice. Very, very nice. Giving it to the man. But yeah, I mean, still, nothing good is going to happen over here. Gets attacked by some Indies and loses. So let's take a look at Vanaroos in the L4. So this fort... was put under siege and finally cracked last turn. And he's got these Oathbound, or no. Oh, these are Vanarusian Berserkers, okay. He's got what? Oathbound at the front. Small communion going on over here. With 2 Astral Masters that are going to cast Mind Burn. That is not going to matter. Riggedy wrecked. And we see oh, this is me pinging again. Here was his god, who magic phased over here. He had a Vanabog come in and kill what's left of some of these Tiger Riders. And these guys knock the scout off. But Bandar... Oh, magic phase attack, it looks like. Or no, this wasn't magic phase. I think he just moved. Region coming in clutch. And I think those guys are blind. And does he kill the... Oh, he kills the Yaksha. That hurts. I don't think this was magic phase. I mean, look, Strongdale. Yeah, I don't think so. I think magic phase is... Unless this... Yeah, there's no way. It wasn't magic phase. So, yeah, just caught him out here. So, yeah, Bandar Log not looking very much like Bandar Log anymore. Looking a lot more like Vanarus. What Vanarus is... So he's already sieged through one fort, which is great. He's going to need a bit... Oh, we got attacked by some Indies here. He's going to need a bit more siege chaff to work through all these forts pretty quickly before... You know, also possible Yis attacks these guys. And... You know, I'm not sure if they would need to, but like with small forces, even if Yis can't siege stuff down, it could keep Bandar Log from falling. And like Vanarus having a quick game is going to be... Like, a quick war is going to be bad for Yis, who's in position 1. So if he just slows Vanarus down, that would be an option. But anyway, you know, we can't see some of the Oathbound. They're glamored. But we can see most of the stuff for Vanarus. And just not a lot of siege stuff coming in. So it's going to be... And Bandar Log, because he overbuilt... You know, it's nice because there's a lot of free infrastructure to get, but it's going to take a while for Vanarus to siege it all because he doesn't have any siege chaff. So we'll see. You know, he's a little on the clock, and if Yis gets all of this, there's a chance Yis is also going to want part of Bandar Log. And I think that is about it for this turn. Not really doing anything. Oh, got attacked by Indies here and loses the throne. Oh, that's going to be exciting, because this is the throne of Gaia, so when he claims it again, it's going to give everybody the events. So that's going to be just wonderful. Everybody's going to be so excited. Let's go ahead and go to turn 33. Turn 33, we get some messages. Epic diplomacy, or epic turn in diplomacy. Background, people have been talking about some sort of coalition to fight Yis for a while now. But things aren't quite as they seem. Jotun with underwater Scrotty might be the only one who can fight him underwater, but probably, in truth, he doesn't want to commit to that. Yeah, pretty fair. So who would be the next target? Who would the next target really be? Meanwhile, Roos proclaims loudly he wants to counter Yis, but does not have a border. He's suggesting he'll put up frozen seas in 8 to 10 turns, but is probably going to... hoping others will fight Yis in proxy wars until then. With the weak area around ctis and Pythium, it turns out I may be the only nation in a position, if I wanted to actively slow Yis's spread. By challenging him for Pythium, we have a nap, but I could try to bump him with my guardians. Meanwhile, Vanheim, I think like this idea that you might do that, I have no idea how guardians would actually match up. You really just have to test it against that Yis Bless. My guess is they would get wrecked. That's my guess. Even though in some ways, like on paper, they're a counter to Sacreds, I don't think they would. But if he could, and he could actually bully Yis out of Pythium, that would be awesome for him. Meanwhile, Vanheim has been brooding in silent all game. I don't have a nap with him, so he might attack me at any time. Does he want to do that or try to finish off ctis? To be continued. Doesn't look like he attacks in this turn. So Jotunheim, with whom I've had a nap for a long time, announces he will end his nap with me. We talk about it for a bit. He has a few options, me and or Roos. I'm clearly weaker. If there's a big coalition versus Yis, I might make sense for him to commit to that. But in truth, the only relevant nations right now that could commit to fighting Yis are him and End. This is a true... I agree with that assessment fully. Potentially... Vanarus could, after the war with Bandar Log's over, but that's multiple turns in the future. And potentially Vanheim could, if he goes and needs ctis. I mean, End isn't interested. More on that later. I suggested to Jotunheim that if left alone, I can at least slow down Yis and Pythium, so fighting me would force me to pull back and grab another 3 forts. Pause that line of Diplo. Meanwhile, I talk to End, and he's more concerned with Roos than with Yis. He does not want to upset the potential growing balance of late game power between himself, Roos, and Yis, and thinks that and he thinks he would be used as a proxy. He suggests that if I'm about to get 2v1'd by Jotunheim and Vanheim, that he might want to join in too. In order to survive, I have to either I need to have either Jotun or End as my ally. I float the idea to Jotunheim that maybe if we can't get a coalition versus Yis, that maybe me and him could fight End together as a 2v1. You can see too, a lot of this is geography. Geography is such an important part. As a 2v1, we could pull it off. And Vanheim attacks me, which Jotun... if Vanheim attacks me, which Jotun might know about or suspect, then it becomes more of a 1v1 for him. And I think End is larger right now, and I don't hear back from Jotun for a bit. Back to End diplomacy. I then suggest to End that we could instead go together after Jotunheim. If they 3v1 me, he has marginal gains. Yis and Rus keep getting bigger, and now he has a new, larger rival in Jotunheim. However, End rightly worries about what will happen if Vanheim gets involved. Then it will become more like 2 separate 1v1s. I personally think that End could take Jotunheim, and I feel like 1v1ing Vanheim. It's funny how this message chain started off about the Yis coalition, and then it hasn't been brought up since. However, End seems preoccupied with fighting an offensive war against Jotunheim and his dominion. So I suggest a twist. If Jotun is going to end nap with me and fight me, I'll handle that 1v1. End can take Van, he's also been eyeing as a possible target. End agrees. God, I hope we have the score graphs, because there's something I want to... We're going to look at score graphs right after this message. I would have preferred to move onto Vanheim as my next target, but beggars can't be choosers, and a 1v1 war versus Jotunheim is the best I can hope for right now. The only outstanding issue is how the border with Yis will be settled around Pythium, and whether Vanheim is really about to attack me, or if he intends to try to finish off ctis. I have a message from Vanarus. I want to look at the charts. Okay, where's Yis? God, End has a lot of troops, guys. So End actually is... And if we look in province count... This is, I think, him losing a tiny bit of stuff as ctis kind of has a resurgence. But he's probably back up a little bit right over here. So, just off the numbers, it's looking pretty tight between End and Yis. That's not how it feels. End is not making power plays. Forts. Holy shitballs. Look at that. Income, though. This is, I think, where a lot of the story is being told. Because this is where the fact, caps matter, right? Yeah, these guys are dominating in income. Though End is looking pretty solid. I think my assessment from looking at this is, in many ways, End being in position 2, it's kind of on him. What I think everybody in the world would want is for End to take up the burden and to kick these guys back into the ocean over here. What that would practically mean for End is he's going to need a very secure border with the elves, Ulm, Jotunheim, and then I don't think this border matters as much, but he would basically have to fortify the coastline. He would need to keep at least one army here that could keep unpopping these forts in case he got raided, and he would have to have small anti-raiding squads set up to deal with all of that bullshit. And he has a nice wall of forts on this, so raiding on this front He can potentially PD dump and support it with mages and other things. But, you got to be careful with static defenses, because the enemy can just bring enough to kill the static defense. Anyway, he can do stuff, right? And then potentially, if he's got really secure borders, he could come over here, eat ctis, and knock these guys back into the ocean. Anyway, that would be... I think if I were one of the players in the game, that is what I would want to happen. But as the end player, you've got a small amount to gain, while you've got kind of a large amount to lose. This thing could go pretty far south, and the second everybody smells blood that you're about to die, they're just going to vulture on you. What you really want is you want somebody else to help. You want somebody to take Pythium, and then he wants to come in. So anyway, that's interesting. So we've looked at the graphs. Where's Ulm and Jotunheim in this? So provinces, Ulm is okay. They're not that far behind End. In terms of income, they're kind of farther behind a little bit. In terms of army size, they've got probably, I don't know. No, they're pretty behind. This is this battle at Pythium where they got crushed. Yeah. For Jotunheim is actually a little bit beneath Ulm, actually. Forts, they're about on par. Income, they're about on par. Army size, a little less, but they have giants, so what are you going to do? And then for Vanarus, I don't really have recent stuff on Vanarus. Army size, kind of middle of the pack. But it seems that position 1 and 2 are pretty clearly End and yes. So with that, let's read Vanarus's message. Diplo update. Currently, Yis is sitting at 3 thrones, and Vanheim and I are sitting at 2 each. Ulm has 1, which was unforted and taken by Indies, as I send the message. And there's an unclaimed one on the Ulm-Jotunheim-Yis border that Yis will probably sweep in and grab if those other two don't fort it up. I've been trying to assemble a coalition to take down Yis, since it has super map mobility and really only needs to take out one more target of its choice to get a throne victory. But Vanheim and Jotunheim are apparently opting to turn on Ulm, while it's weak instead. They're probably going to be useless unless Yis actually attacks Vanheim through ctis. More likely, Yis will target either End or me. Let's look at that. I don't really understand why. I guess he would go through bandar log to get to Vanarus. That would kind of make sense. So we'll look. So basically, I have to attack Yis and get that throne on the west coast of Pythium away from him, or away from him, with or without End's help. End makes promises, but we'll see if he makes them good, or can even win if he tries. I haven't really gotten a good look at what his research is doing because he's gotten big off vulturing. So he's a bit of a black box with some piles of dog boys, rainbow cap sacreds. He might just fold and lose the game for everybody, or he could absolutely massacre the fish ponies and then start on us all, and then start on all of us. I'm currently researching as fast as I can towards Frozen Sea, so I can lock Yissian reinforcements in the lake and let all players eliminate the Yissian coastal forts without the 80 Knight Doomstack coming by. I will make some of the Mossbody Berserkers to hopefully keep that Doomstack from murdering me. Although counter thugs he's deploying will be a problem, right? He's got these little Yissian Knights with stingers, so we'll see. So that's interesting. Dire Portent. Bandar log with the alpha male Mother Oak cast. There's a battle over here. Oh my god. This is the highest value Blackhawk casting I've ever seen. Yoink. I think this was 2. Yeah, this was 2 castings, but this is when you wish you had PD here. PD would have kind of countered this. But this is the kind of thing when, like, good players better than me are going to do. Like, the ritual attacks. I've played against Arco a few times, who's the player for Yes, and he loves using different ones of these, and he always uses the right one. So it's annoying, and little opportunities like this add up. Okay, and there's a battle in ctis. Apparently, Yes moving into ctis with just a thug, laying claim to it. One PD, okay. And let's do this from the map. So coming down, Yus kills off these dudes. Over here, since his barb's in, all of his barbs died to some Marshmasters. I love it. Thugs over here takes out the cap. We saw that battle. And kills also a little bit of bandar log. Interesting. How did bandar log get over here? Oh, wait. Where was I clicking? Was it here? Okay, so Yis attacks bandar log. I guess this was the tippy top northern part of bandar log's empire. Let's take a look at this thug. Oh, so this is like as much as Yis has thugged out any of his ponies. He's got the bark skin amulet for really high protection. He's got the bracer of protection. He's got a stinger and then a vine shield, and then a copper plate. So this is going to be pretty good in anti-thug measures. Like if there's a thug versus thug battle, this will potentially light an enemy thug up. But then we have a battle between a Vanarusian thug and a Yis thug. And in general, the Vanarusian thugs are going to be significantly worse than the Yis thugs. But they both have glamour, so we'll see. We'll pull up the combat log for this one too. So Blessing, Mist Form. Now Yis does Quicken Self and Flight. This guy's doing Flight. So let's take a look. They're running forward now. This guy is at 4 fatigue, so very low fatigue. He's got an ice shield, which will be good if he doesn't instantly die, and he's got super high defense. And then this, which unfortunately is a very low length, but he has really high defense and pretty good morale, so it's unlikely he's going to get repelled a lot, but we'll see that in the combat log. On Yis's side, Flight, so okay, he's going to be coming down. Okay. Now, the things that are important, does this guy have, he does not have fire resistance. And even though he's got really high defense, he doesn't have enough protection, I don't think. Now, he could have done resist fire. That would have been a Jedi play if he expected a bump. And that would have probably protected him. He's got Mist Form, which is great, but the fire damage is probably going to pop him. And the other thing is that this Stinger is going to go through protection pretty good. So we'll see. We'll do this kind of slow. Wait, whoops. Okay, so there goes, that was the first thing. Charged body hit. This is the value of the copper plate. And it didn't actually do a ton of damage, but he's stunned now. And that makes his defense drop all the way down to 6, which is going to allow him to stick him with the stinger. And it's very likely this guy dies next turn, or in like one turn after. Okay, so there goes Mistform getting popped. He's still stunned. And Quicken Self. He goes again before the guy moves, so yeah. Absolutely wrecks him. Now, she did lose both her eyes. But, importantly, still has all her gear. And you can still use this mage as like a caster. So he'll probably swap the gear out onto a different Morgan champion. But, yeah. Absolutely wrecked. And it's like little weird things. Like, why would this be on one of these guys? The only logical explanation why this would be put on here is that he was thinking he might bump into a Vanabog, right? And knew this would potentially make the difference between, like a 50-50 chance of winning or losing and like clearly winning. So that's interesting. So Yis takes this. Now, Vanarus just took this stuff, and he's kind of coming in here to like slowly work on the rest of Bandar Log. But meanwhile, Yis is probably making their move south. It's kind of hard to tell where Yissian stuff is. Okay, my guess... They're totally... Normally you can tell from the druids, but I don't see any druids. And my guess is that they're over here in this fort. They're not here. It's possible they were slow moving through the caves. I bet you they're in this province. And I think they're coming to Yis, because I think he's got enough dudes, and these guys are completely wrecked over here on this front, well enough that he's not... It's also possible they're in here mixed in this army. We didn't see a battle report. So anyway, we'll find out. But judging from the moves down here, he's probably going to be bringing in the Morvarks to secure Yis's cap. Okay, and we have a throne claimed here by... Oh my gosh. Wait, did I miss this? Maybe there was a battle here last turn? Because there was a ton of people in this turn. It looks like... Let's go back one turn. Turn 32. Okay, this is the Anuki of the Morningstar. Let's see what she casts. Summon Air Elemental. Wind Guide. Not horrible, actually. Astral Healing, not great. So a bunch of useless shit. These guys come in, but he's almost certainly got shock resistance, yeah. But this dude's grabbing Swallow. But, I mean, you can see how this guy's super thick. He probably, yeah, Heroic Toughness. This is a thick boy. And they're all shooting him, and I don't think his protection's sky high because he has this. Right, so his protection's only 18. But he's got, you know, liquid body and stuff. You can see he's taking just a phenomenal amount of damage, but he's getting trampled. Trample does AP damage. So yeah, he's getting really low. But he regens back up. The trample, I think, was doing a lot of the damage. So once the trampling stops, things are pretty okay. And now he just sits here and chews through everybody. Does he have Berserk? He does not. So, where did these guys go? Okay, the battle's gonna time out soon. They're running, but I think... That's funny. The way the timeout works, there's like a time when the attacker will route, but the attacker won't route if the defender's always has already routed, and I forget what turn that is. It's around like 75 or something, or 80. Anyway, the defender routed, so it bypassed that, and the werewolf didn't run. But at turn 100, everybody routes no matter what, and that's why the werewolf ran out. But interestingly enough, Breath of Winter is what froze a bunch of the units here. And because they were frozen, they didn't make it off the battlefield in time. So kind of funny. Anyway, they're wrecked. And that's what, when we come back, we'll see he's sending some idiot back in to take it on turn 33. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, sends this dude back in, and you know, he has ended his nap here. So Ulm has to prepare. What is he going to do against Scrotty? Crossbows can be okay, especially like the big manly crossbows that Ulm gets, especially if he's got flaming arrows and Shrink the Giants on them. But you know, if these guys get arrow fend on them, can be pretty tough, especially like just a Shield of Valor would kind of hard counter it. So I don't think that's really the answer. You can kind of try to kill them with Black Lord thugs is another way. But And I don't know how the Guardians do against him, because I don't know if the Shroud will make him count as sacred, because technically the Shroud only makes him blessed, it doesn't make him sacred. But I don't know if how that interaction actually works. Could be the Guardians do it because they're pretty high damage. So I don't know. He's got a lot of things he's going to have to figure out. How is he going to deal with stealthy dudes raiding him all over the place, including the Scrotty, who are going to be stealthy, jumping all over him? How is he going to deal with the little Veti Hags and probably Turbo Communions? There's going to be a lot of problems for Ulm to have to sort out. So it's going to be interesting to see what he does. And then it also looks, I mean, come on. We know what's going to happen. Vanheim is going to attack Ulm for sure. That's what this troop positioning means. That's what this troop positioning means. And I think these guys going on Ulm is going to throw the game, basically. Because, like, even if they win, they get Ulm. And, like, I know Sakane. Sakane is not going to just fall over and die. I've never seen him fall over and die in a game. So, in all likelihood, he's going to drag these guys into the mud. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, even if they have a clean victory, like a reasonably clean victory, they're completely giving up ctis. So that's going to make Yis a 4-cap nation now, while everybody else is working, I think, on... The smallest player in the game has Naba. Like, Jotunheim is pretty small relative to everybody else. I don't know if he's the smallest, but he's pretty small. And he's a 2-cap nation, but everybody else, I think, is 1. And Yis is going to be at 4. Sea of Ice could help, but I don't know how well. Anyway. I mean, it would make a big difference, but, you know, Yis has cool stuff they can get on land, too, with Kurnow Druids. But, yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, like, on one hand, Yis is bullying other people, but nobody's really bullying Yis. Like... Yeah. And I can kind of understand it, because, like, on one hand, it could be End is just, like, on paper, End looks almost as scary as Yis. Right? But End has not really done much. He's kind of 2v1 to Naba. Right? He does have Gog Reavers, which are really good. So we'll see. Anyway. The problem, though, here's the problem, right? The problem is, if they win, presumably all of this land will go to Yis. And it's also going to give Yis carte blanche to, like, attack Vanarus, to attack End. I mean, I guess in theory, Vanarus and End... Okay, so this could happen, because I'm trying to think how this could work. Jotunheim and Vanheim go on Ulm. Right, and let's say they eat half of them, and then they get to be, you know, kind of big players, and Ulm goes away. Right, Ulm gets killed. Meanwhile, Yes might start to eat a little bit, or picks a war with Vanarus or with End, and these guys have a defensive alliance, so that they, if any one of them gets attacked, or maybe they just have an aggressive alliance, they go and they both together try to knock out Yes. The problem with that is, well, from Vanarus' side, he has a long way to go in terms of knocking out all of the rest of the Bandar infrastructure. He just has a very long way to go. And he doesn't have a lot of siege chaff at all. Whereas you can see, Yes has clearly been prioritizing siege chaff, right? He's got all these marrows. But yeah, I think if these two guys hang together, if Vanarus and End hang together, they can potentially, you know, either bully Yis out of his land holdings, or prevent each other from getting eaten. But we'll see. We'll see. I part of the problem, though, is, like, you can see how you're, like, a little paralyzed if... Because it's one of the things underwater nations can do, is they can exploit any kind of diplomatic chaos and just backstab somebody, right? So Ulm's getting eaten, all of a sudden, Yes vultures. Ind gets in some bad war, loses a major stack. Yis vultures. All these things. So anyway, it'll be interesting to see too what Yis does. We know he's going to go after ctis. But he's then got a choice. Does he go after Ind or does he go after Vanarus? Or does he come in here and backstab the elves? And I think all of these things are potentially good options, though we'll have to find out. So let's take a look at what's happened, what this turn has brought. Okay, just light raiding. Getting these forts under siege. And yeah, this fort, the fact that it's not cracked and it's only 250 tells us that the Morvarks are probably not here. Ulm has come over this way. And he's also retreating from this. The other thing that's going to be... Yeah, and this is the power vacuum I was talking about. He's retreating over here to fight these guys, and he does have a nap with Yis, but Yis could just end the nap and just yoink all of this and take this and go get this lake system and just be an absolute nightmare. But, potentially, Yis is probably also worried about a coalition, so he's probably a little worried that if he starts picking at any of the players now, they might organize. So, anyway, we'll have to see what he does. And this war with two people attacking Ulm is extremely favorable for Yis, because the worst thing would be Ulm attacks from this direction. I think, okay, this would be the worst thing, is if Ulm, Vanheim, and Ind get together, and they each say, we're going to take a portion of knocking Yis out. Right? Vanheim's going to take ctis. Ind is going to get all of this rich farmland on the western side of the Ctisian Empire, and Ulm is going to pressure him out of Pythium. That would be the worst possible situation. But with Vanheim attacking Ulm, that eliminates basically two of the threat vectors. Though potentially Vanarus also has a method to knock Yis out of Pythium. So we'll see. We still don't know where the big Morvark Doom stack is. And let me see if is there any interesting stuff happening here. Okay, rating PD. Oh, this is interesting. We almost missed this. So a Yissian Knight. Okay, very, very lightly kitted. Runs in here with a moss body. Yeah, a moss body Vanabog. And this is going to be a complete trouncing. Oh, she's casting spells. Bonds of Fire. Oh, that's really nice. Okay, that's really good. But yeah, I mean, you can see. Look how aggressive Yis was. Yis is making a huge claim to all of this stuff. Interesting. This is a super high valuable province, too. Okay, we're about to close out the episode. I want to see what Vanarus was saying were the other thrones. So let's read his message one last time. He said there was one unforted one. So throne. Here's a throne. So Yis is probably eyeing this one. Yeah, so let's take a look at the throne situation. He's only got two, but he's got this one. So he's got 1, 2. Okay, well, let's count. 1, 2, 3. Throne of Knowledge, Throne of Life. Yeah, okay, so he's already claimed this one. This is the one that he's got, but hasn't taken. And he's, I think it's what, 7 to win? 6 to win, 3. So 4, 5. Anyway, that's an option, getting both of these. Not sure what he'd do for his 6th. Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't really see a super clear path to throne victory for Yes right now. What is it like for End? End is at 1, 2. They could potentially... I mean, that would be a nice thing about going after Yes is you secure this throne. Going after Vanheim would just give 1. Yeah, I'm not sure. End definitely doesn't have a path to throne victory right now. So anyway, guys, I think that's it. We will see you next time. Take care.